watch Kentucky last night?
I did. Kentucky looks good.
How you laughing?
You know me.
He beat me 1-1.
Oh, you tear both of y'all up.
Wow. Welcome in, everyone, to the greatest financial literacy podcast on the planet, NBA Unplugged. Today, as always, I am joined by the GOAT, the illustrious Professor Young. Professor Young, how you doing today?
I'm good, man.
I'm good. How was your weekend?
It was good. I was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
That was great. I went out for a run on Saturday morning, and I forgot I was in the desert. It's cold out there. Beautiful homes out there. It's really nice and everything. Ran a couple miles, and that was it. But yeah, I went out there for a little conference, all finance conference.
What was your mile time?
We don't need to discuss that. I finished.
That's true.
That's all that matters. At 58, you just try to finish. That's all that matters.
That's real. So I know this weekend you went to LA, like you said, with all finance, but as last week we had Miss Carter on the podcast.
That's right.
How do you think the interview went with Miss Carter?
I thought it went well. I think people think there's only one way to own a business, and franchising obviously is a way of owning a business without having the support, without being alone. Something that's proven. And then you also have the mechanisms and the playbook to succeed. So I think it's a great way of getting into the business, and also scaling as well. It's great. I thought she did an awesome job.
Shout out Miss Carter. I know we love these.
Absolutely.
Shout out Miss Carter. We appreciate your time.
Definitely GOAT status. You know, when we invite people, we're only inviting people that have GOAT status.
Right, and she's one.
Yeah.
And we're holding you true to that symposium and Super Bowl.
That's right.
So we're holding you true to that.
That's right. Free tickets.
Yes, sir. But before, we have a new member on the team, Mr. Ryan Matthews. He's behind the camera. You can't see him. Ryan Matthews, he is now joining the team. So we're thankful for you, Ryan. We appreciate you.
Yeah, well, you know what his nickname is, right?
What's his nickname?
His nickname is Player. He's in my corporate finance class.
Okay.
Oh, he's a great student, but he's a player.
Wow.
The women love him.
Shout out Ryan Matthews.
GOAT status.
Ryan Matthews is laughing.
Number goats around here.
Number goats. But before we begin, I want to make sure you all like this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. To stay tuned as we have a few big guests coming in tomorrow. A big guest, you're going to make sure you are tuned in. But today we're covering a big problem that is very detrimental to the economy, and that is the rise in car payments. So as we know, car payments are rising as borrowing costs continue to do the same with interest rates rising. So now the average car payment for a new car in quarter 3 was actually around $736.
Yep.
Now compared to just 3 years ago in 2020, the average car payment was only $575. That's almost a $200 increase in three years. So, Professor Young, I want to ask you, how do really auto loans work, and like when it comes to financing for a vehicle? Because most people don't have $25,000 sitting around to buy a new car, so they have to finance it. How does that process really work?
Well, let's look at what really transpired. You know, before the pandemic, things were pretty much normal. Rates were low. The terms of pricing on used cars, or I like to call them pre-owned cars, they were relatively low. But when the pandemic happened, people were at home. They couldn't use public transportation because that was shut down, so they were buying pre-owned cars. Right. They were actually having cars delivered to them out of state. People were shopping all the way around, which put a squeeze on pre-owned cars in terms of the supply. So the supply went down. All of a sudden now the prices jump up on you, right? And then we had higher prices, but we also still had lower rates, which made it, you could tolerate it a little bit, Yeah. But then as rates started to rise, when the Fed started raising rates to cool off the economy, all of a sudden now a 2 or 3% loan on a car loan for a qualified borrower, someone that's at 700, 750 or above, now they're paying 7% on that loan, okay? But the big market that's really driving the car business is what we call the subprime portion. Those are people who have 650 credit score or below, okay? And with a 650 and credit below, they might have been paying maybe 7 to 12% at that time. Now they're paying 14 to 21%.
Wow.
So that's why you see that 500 to 700 jump. So you have two things. Just it mimicked the housing market. Prices went up, rates went up, everything went up, right? So you have someone that's sitting there with a $700, $800 loan, and then everything else is going up against them. Delinquency rates start to go up.
Yeah.
and the highest they've been
Right.
since 1994. So it's just an avalanche. It's just if everything can go wrong at the same time, it actually did.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So, and then I know how loans work. So you have a term.
That's right.
That you pay the loan off. So like for houses, it's common that it's a 30-year fixed mortgage rate.
that's right.
But for cars, it's a little bit differently. So historically, car payments are around 4 to 5 years, or 48 to 60 months. But like Professor Young said, with the rise in rates and everything happening in the economy, these terms are actually extending longer. So instead of being 48 to 60 months, they're tending to be 72 to 84 months.
Or even longer.
Or even longer. And that is more the consumer has to pay because that's a longer time frame that they're paying interest back on the loan.
That's right.
So, Professor Young, as the terms, I kind of mentioned it a little bit, but
Yep.
why really are these terms expanding?
It's affordability. The longer because if you think about it, any loan is front end loaded with interest at the beginning. So very little equity is being built in into the vehicle. Okay, so if that's the case, all of a sudden you have these high prices and people can't afford them. They just can't afford these high payments. So to make them so you can tolerate them, they stretch out the loan.
Yeah.
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 And if you stretch out the loan, mean longer money, it's going to cost you more.
Right.
So that's when the rates go up even higher, but you're paying a lot longer and you're paying more for the car.
Okay.
So let's say I'm making these numbers up. Let's say if you buy a $20,000 car at 7% interest over 5 years, it might cost you $27,000 for interest, for example, right? But now, if you go 84 months or 85 months or whatever the case is, now we're talking about, instead of being $27,000, it might cost you $35,000 for that car.
And that's more money the bank gets?
That's more money the bank is making off of you, as opposed to you building equity in that car.
So the banks are benefiting from high interest rates?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But doesn't interest rates mean the borrowing costs from the banks, from whoever they get the money from? I think it may be the Reserve or Treasury.
Well, their rates go up too. Their borrowing rates, their rates go up too. Everything is in lockstep.
But banks profit off of high interest rates.
That absolutely. There's no question about that.
That's crazy.
There's no question about that. And plus, also, depending on how you bat the traditional person it borrows doesn't have a car that they run through their business or something like that, so it's not tax deductible.
Right.
I mean, it's not like a house. So that's interest that you're paying. You're not getting any benefit from it except for driving it.
And houses are tax deductible?
The interest portion is, yes.
Okay. That's a lot of gems right there.
Yep.
Professor Young just dropped. That is
Yep.
a lot of gems. But Professor Young, what do you look? What's it look like next weekend for you? Any plans? I know we got a big guest tomorrow. Why you laughing?
You know me. Definitely watching college basketball.
Who's your favorite team? Oh, did you watch Kentucky last night?
I did.
How you
Kentucky
feel?
looks good. Kentucky looks good.
Kansas doesn't look too good,
But they'll come around.
but Kentucky didn't have 3 of their big men, and that was big because they had no center.
Right.
They just had their own
No,
guards.
I know.
But
But here's my team, though. I'm a Marquette fan.
Tyler Collette, that's your guy.
No. I like him.
It's not.
I like him. Cam Jones is my dude. Cam can play some ball. He's a hooper. Now, my favorite team is University of Illinois because I went there and they played. Yeah, well, they lost against Marquette.
Yeah, that's.
They played a nice game.
Okay. Yeah, Big Ten.
They played a nice game.
Yeah. Marquette Final Four.
Most definitely.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Is crazy. Hot take.
Absolutely.
Professor
Absolutely.
Young said Marquette to Final Four. Clip that up.
Absolutely.
Clip that up.
Absolutely. And then give a shout out to my nephew plays for Illinois.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
He hoop.
Yeah, he plays for Illinois. He didn't play, but he's on the team.
He beat me 1-on-1.
Oh, he tear both of y'all up.
Wow.
That's not even a question.
All right, we're gonna have to.
AJ Red, number
Red?
5.
Okay.
So you should buy his jersey, NIL deal.
Okay.
I don't know if we're gonna get him in trouble, but
Yeah.
AJ, I just gave
Shout out
AJ Red. We just gave you a shout out.
Shout out AJ. But Professor Young, I think that wraps it up for this video. From him to us, you all stay blessed, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.